Over to marginal product. Marginal product MP refers to extra or additional product that will be added for each additional unit of variable input. Variable means changing. In this case, labor. Because remember, labor changes as the economy changes. Now, even with the coronavirus, some workers are losing their jobs, or some workers have to be laid off, they have to be retrenched because the company cannot afford to pay them anymore, because if they are not working, they cannot pay them, even if they are not, they are forcefully not working. They were forced by the government not to work during this time. Right, so the marginal product, the calculation is the change in total production. Remember, it will be a subtraction calculation there. Change in total product divided by the change in the units of labor. So calculate the marginal product between 1 and 2 units of labor. This is now referring to my previous table. So if I say 90 minus 30, change in the total product, and underneath I'm going to say change in the units of labor, 2 workers minus 1, it will give me marginal product or marginal production of 60 over 1, which means 60 divided by 1. So my marginal product will be 60. Remember, marginal means the additional unit of variable input. Okay, so that will be the additional product that I will be able to produce. Okay, will be 60. The law of diminishing marginal product states diminishing, remember, remains, and means to decrease. As successive units of variable resource labor are added to fixed resource land, at some point the marginal product attribution to each additional unit of the variable resource will start to decline. So that's your definition. It's also asking one of your questions, that exam questions that I gave you. We will mark it once we are back at school, so I can physically see that you did it in your books before I just send out the answers. You're also welcome to take a picture of it and send it to me on my personal WhatsApp. Then I will mark it for you and tell you where your mistakes are and tell you where you have written excellent answers. Right, then the average product, AP, refers to the total product, TP, divided by the number of units of variable input, in other words, labor. So AP equals total product divided by units of labor. Calculate the average product after 2 units of labor have been added. Now, we are still using that table that they have given to you on the previous 2 slides, if you go back 2 slides. So AP, average product, equals 90 divided by 2, that's the units of labor. So the AP, the average product, will be 45. So where the MP equals AP, AP will be at its maximum. What is MP? Marginal product. What is AP? Average product. So wherever they are equal to each other, AP will reach its maximum. In other words, it cannot increase any further. Total revenue is the total value of all sales and is equal to the unit price, P, of its product multiplied by the quantity, the Q sold. We have looked at this earlier on in our previous topic, the second part of the markets, where we looked at the perfect market, how to indicate whether there's revenue, total revenue, total cost, or a profit or a loss. So just the formula again, TR, total revenue, equals P times Q. P means price and Q means quantity. Then average revenue, AR, is equal to its total revenue, TR or PQ, divided by the quantity sold. So AR equals to total revenue divided by the quantity sold, or the quantity of output. If the firm sells all its units at the same price, then average revenue is equal to the price of the product. In other words, average revenue will be equal to P. A firm's marginal revenue, MR, is the additional or the extra revenue earned by selling an additional unit of the product Q. So MR equals TR, total revenue, over Q, my quantity. Changes in revenue. Revenue will change if price changes or if the demand changes. If the quantity produced is increased, total revenue increases when marginal revenue is positive. Total revenue falls when marginal revenue is negative. Total revenue remains unchanged when marginal revenue is 0. Remember, marginal is the extra. So if I add extra products that I sold, my total revenue will increase. When I do not sell any extra products, my total revenue will fall or decrease. If total revenue remains unchanged, nothing happened to it, there was no extra revenue earned, then it will remain 0. Average revenue increases when marginal revenue is greater than average revenue. Average revenue decreases when marginal revenue is less than average revenue. You can see it nicely on a graph. Average revenue remains unchanged when marginal revenue is equal to the average revenue. Then price changes. Here it just shows you what happens. In the first one, sales. From there, it would have been now Q to Q1. In that little section, revenue will be gained. So this is now change in the price of a product will cause a move along the demand curve. So it's just a move along the demand curve. The curve will not shift. So only a price change can cause a move along the demand curve. All right. So there was my original revenue lost from obviously P to P1. If the price is going to fall, I'm going to lose revenue. And if the quantity increases, if I sell more from Q to Q1, my revenue will be gained in that section. So we can give you this graph and you must indicate for us where revenue will be lost, where revenue will be gained during sales. Right. So changes in price when demand is A. So A is when demand is inelastic. You'll see in our next topic we're going to talk more about elasticity. Inelastic just means that there's no change. Okay, so there's no change in demand. Inelastic. Okay, so if you think of an elastic band that you can stretch and move, all right, inelastic means the opposite. It cannot move. And then B, in B is elastic. So when the demand is elastic, meaning there's a change in the quantity demanded. Right, what will happen now? When P falls down to P1, when the price decreases, I am going to lose revenue. When my quantity increases from Q to Q1, I am going to gain revenue. Again, we can give you these scenarios and tell you what will happen when the graph is inelastic demand or when it's elastic demand. What will happen? Where's the revenue lost? Where's the revenue gain? You must just be able to indicate it, okay, on the graph. A shift in the demand curve. Revenue will also change if the demand shifts. For example, extremely hot weather over the summer months of 2011 caused more families to fly to other holiday destinations. Okay, so if it's hot where you live, you tend to go to another country where it's a bit colder. Okay. Fortunately now, due to coronavirus, nobody's flying anywhere. Okay, so we must just soak up the weather that we get. Demand for air tickets increased and the demand curve shifted from DD, there's my original demand curve, DD, here's my original supply curve, SS, so it shifted from DD to D1 because there was now an increase in demand for airline tickets. Price increases and sales of air tickets increase from Q to Q1, causing total revenue of the air companies to increase by PP1 times QQ1. Alright, so in other words, what I mean here, because there was a demand, extra demand now on airline tickets. What the airlines does is they increase their demand. They increase their price because the demand is increasing from P to P1. So let's say we are looking here at British Airways. If they see too many people are demanding tickets on their flights, they will start increasing the flight's price. So you might actually sit on a plane, same plane, and you paid 8,000 Rand for your ticket. And the person sitting next to you flying also to New Zealand will or maybe paid 20,000 Rand for his ticket. Okay, because that's how demand and supply work. Okay, so in other words, they say here, my revenue, the revenue of the air companies will increase by P to P1, that section, times Q to Q1. Alright, so because of this situation, my revenue will actually increase for my company because demand is increasing and therefore they are increasing their prices. And obviously, everybody wants to fly to New Zealand now, for example, for the holiday destination. So the quantity demanded will increase. And if the quantity demanded increase, what does my supplier do? My British Airways, they're going to increase the price. What happens when they increase the price? They're going to make more money because they're selling more units at a higher price. Competition and revenue. If businesses wish to boost profits, they need to raise revenue or cut costs, or ideally do both. In terms of the demand for the good or service, they need to shift the demand curve outwards to the right and or more subtly to make their demand curve more inelastic. Inelastic means it does not change. For instance, by focusing on brand marketing. So they can increase their brand marketing. For example, Coca-Cola. You'll see they are a successful company because they always think about newer, better ways to advertise their product. The ability of an individual business to achieve this will be strongly constrained by the characteristics of the market within which it operates. So between monopolistic and competitive markets, perfect competitive market and monopolistic markets. Right, so there we have to look at the restrictions. Obviously, with a monopoly, other businesses are not allowed to enter. Don't know what's going to happen now in South Africa because of the coal supply. Also, we're going to have a lot of other services where there's a problem in supply. For example, they announced now on level 4 that cigarette sales will commence again as in from tomorrow because the lockdown ended. And last night, Lamini Zuma, Minister of Health, she said now there will be no selling of cigarettes because it is a risk, because when people are sharing a cigarette, they can also contract the virus. So yeah, it's quite confusing times we are going through. Also concerning dates when school will open and not reopen again. So we are all waiting. Apparently at 10 o'clock the president is going to address the country again, so we will hopefully know more then. But hopefully it doesn't change again. So yes, once we know, we will keep you guys updated. But that's now a good example of a lot of businesses that are going to go through a very difficult time because they are not allowed. They are forced by the government not to sell their products. So that makes it very difficult. Profits and losses. We get an accountant's profit and an economist's profit. An accountant records events that have already occurred. So sales that already occurred in the business or expenses that already been paid. Accounting profit is therefore an ex post concept based on recorded transactions. So for those of you that have accounting, you will know you normally record in your CPJ, in your CRJ. You will take it over to your general ledger in your bank, and you will look what is the difference between what I earned, my income, and what I had to pay, my expenses. Do I make a profit or a loss? Obviously, there's a long list of expenditures that has to be paid. Alright, but you will know that when you have accounting. Economist profit. Economists, on the other hand, are interested in explaining and predicting behavior. Okay, so they look at what's going on in the economy. For example, now during the lockdown, a lot of business was not able to operate. Moody, the international company that does the credit rating, already rated us as being in a recession and junk status. And they say if we continue the way we continue with a lot of businesses being locked down, that we are actually going to go through a depression if you think of your business cycle. And it has been actually a long time since a country has been in a depression. So a lot of businesses are going to close, a lot of people are going to lose their jobs, so it's a stressful time for everyone. Accounting profits are calculated by subtracting their total costs as well as their depreciation from its total receipts. Profit is therefore residual. Residual means something that is which is left over after cost has been paid. The problem with accounting profit is that it ignores implicit returns equals opportunity returns. Then opportunity cost is an economist's view of cost, and it includes both explicit and implicit costs. Remember, opportunity cost is again the best foregone opportunity. I have 20 rand. I have to choose between a hamburger or a hot dog. If I choose the hot dog, the opportunity cost will be the one I did not choose, which is the hamburger. Explicit cost is the actual expenditure of a business on the purchase or hire of the inputs required for the production process. This expenditure includes the wages of laborers, interest on borrowed capital, the leasing of land and buildings, as well as expenditure on the raw materials, electricity, water, etc. So that equals costs that involve direct monetary payment. Monetary means money. Implicit cost refers to the value of inputs that are owned by the entrepreneur and used in the production process. The value of self-employed inputs must be calculated on the basis of the returns they could have earned in the best alternative application elsewhere. So in other words, is it better to have the business and use my factors of production as my input, or must I rather use that capital, invest it into a bank account or in an offshore account? Will I earn actually more with the interest on that account than I would if I have a business? It depends on what type of business you have. Example, a paper production firm may own a plantation of trees. The implicit cost of that natural resource equals the input. Is the potential market price the firm could receive if it sold it as lumber instead of using it for paper production. So here's another example. So they either use it for pulp to make paper, or they must use it to sell the logs, and the logs are then used to make furniture, for example. So in which instance will they actually receive more income? Okay, that's the implicit cost. Economic profit is the difference between total revenue and the opportunity cost plus all explicit costs of all resources used to produce the goods and services sold. In this definition, economic profit is a surplus. Surplus means extra. If a firm is earning economic profit, it means the firm is earning more than what it would have earned elsewhere. Okay, we also learned about this concept when we did the natural resources factor of production. It is therefore a profit over and above normal profit. Okay, we see now a lot in our markets, we talk about normal profit, we talk about economic profit, and whether they're making it in the short run or the long run. Economic profit equals total revenue minus, in brackets there, we first do that one, explicit plus implicit cost. Remember the difference between accounting profit and economic profit. Accounting profit is revenue, total revenue, minus explicit cost. Economic profit is total revenue minus explicit cost plus implicit cost. So over there you need to know basically just the calculations. Whenever economic profit or surplus exists, new firms will flow into an industry, increasing the prices of resources and decreasing the price at which goods and services are sold. Farmer said now, they're actually going to face a shortage of supply now during this time in Corona. So that's not a good thing for us. So I think of bananas, for example. When I buy organic bananas at Woolworths, it used to cost 24 Rand a box, and now it is 42 Rand a box. Okay, it's all about demand and supply. People are demanding the goods because more people are staying home, so obviously they are eating more. I think you're probably also eating a little bit more now at home, eh? And this causes people to buy more and prices to increase because the demand